You know what's strange? There's a type of person who watches every Ronaldo match like it's a personal mission. They study his training videos at midnight. They know his exact diet, his sleep schedule, his mindset before a game. The world assumes this is simple sports obsession, but psychology says something very different. It's not about football at all. What looks like fandom is actually a search for identity. Psychologists call this parasocial identification when your brain forms a one-sided emotional bond with someone whose discipline mirrors what you wish you had. And if you recognize yourself in what follows, pay attention. 1. Psychologists call this basking in reflected glory. It's a documented effect studied through social comparison theory. Your brain doesn't cleanly separate his win from your win. When someone you've emotionally attached to succeeds, your nervous system registers a small hit of validation, the same circuitry that fires during your own achievements. Researchers have found people unconsciously use we instead of they when their chosen team wins, and distance themselves with they when it loses. You feel it in real time. Your chest tightens when he steps up to a penalty. Your shoulders drop in relief when the ball hits the net. You're not just watching a man play football. You're borrowing his momentum to refuel your own sense of worth. What looks like obsession with someone else's success is actually an instinctive way of regulating your own self-esteem when life feels uncertain. 2. Psychologists call this aspirational mirroring. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning and self-discipline, quietly studies people who embody the standards you want for yourself. Neuroplasticity means your brain can rewire itself just by repeated exposure to someone else's habits, even through a screen. This isn't passive entertainment. It's low-grade mental rehearsal. You watch his early mornings, his rehab routines, his obsessive repetition. Something in you takes notes without asking permission. You don't just admire his discipline. You rehearse it internally, picturing what your own life would look like if you trained that same part of yourself. What seems like hero worship is really your mind quietly building a blueprint for the person you're trying to become. 3. Psychologists call this emotional attunement. Underneath the trophies is a story of being doubted, dropped, and underestimated again and again. Your amygdala, wired to detect threat and unfairness, responds strongly to stories of someone surviving public criticism. Watching him push through doubt activates the same emotional centers as remembering your own hardest moments. This is why his comeback moments hit harder than his easy wins. You don't just see a footballer outlasting his critics. You see your own comeback story. You see every time people doubted you, and you kept going anyway. Something in his persistence feels like permission to keep going in yours. What feels like loyalty to a player is often your nervous system recognizing its own resilience reflected back at you. If this is you, understand that this is an obsession. It never was. You weren't chasing a celebrity. You were chasing proof that discipline pays off, that doubt doesn't have to win, that quiet effort eventually shows up in the scoreline of your own life. Your admiration was never small. It was your nervous system pointing you toward the version of yourself you've been building all along. If you love understanding why people attach themselves to certain figures, hit subscribe. Because on this channel, we don't just watch fandom, we decode it.